There are some really easy ways to be making passive income without having to spend more than $50. In this video, we're going to talk about 5 ideas that I've actually personally implemented and tell you how much we made, how much they actually cost to get started, and just give you some ideas so that throughout this year, whether you're on lockdown or whatever you're doing, you can actually start generating some passive income. And the reason that a lot of people like to generate passive income is so that they don't have to really rely on their job as much, or maybe you want to retire early, maybe you want to pay off some debt, maybe you want to put some money aside in an emergency fund. But having passive income can give you a little bit of peace of mind so that you know that you're not just relying on one income source. And the ideas that we're going to talk about in this video, the ones that I've actually implemented, are not necessarily meant to immediately make you rich. They might be generating maybe $100, $200 per month, but it's a great way to start. You can also then use that money to invest in dividend stocks, which are another income stream that we won't really talk about in this video. But all of these ideas that we're going to talk about, again, less than $50, you can get started. They're stress-free. They're relatively easy for just about anyone to do. And yeah, let's actually just get started. And because I just said what we're going to do this video, it's going to be a one-take video again. We're going to have the jar. The last video we did with the jar, we actually had to donate $33 to charity. So every time I say like, so, or kinda, it's $1 to charity. We are going to try to work on that, and although we're donating money to charity, we're going to try and reduce it a little bit as well. Let's jump into idea number 1. Idea number 1 is lawn mowing and snow shoveling. I've done this since I was about 12 years old. I don't do it anymore, but when I was probably in middle school up until high school or when I went to college, I actually mowed lawns and shoveled snow. And although this might seem like kind of a silly one, shoveling snow, to buy a shovel probably costs $20. To buy a lawnmower, you can find used lawnmowers on Craigslist, or maybe your neighbors have one that you can borrow. Again, less than $50. And you can make probably about $20 to $30 per lawn per week. I probably had about 5 lawns that I was doing every week. So that's about $100, $150, let's say, per week that you're able to make just actually mowing lawns or shoveling snow. And for the most part, shoveling snow and mowing lawns is a very easy, systematic task. You go in a line one way, you go in a line the other way. So although you might not have any experience with landscaping or anything like that outdoors, mowing lawns and shoveling snow is actually a really easy, systematic way to make some passive income. Just create a flyer. I actually created a flyer when I was younger. We were called the Grass Busters, and I took it around I went door to door and was able to say, I'm Quinn, I live over here in this house. Do you need anyone to mow your lawn? It'll cost you $25 per week or $25 every 2 weeks. Here's all the other houses that I've worked with. What do you think? And for the most part, you'll be able to get some people that will actually want to support you, maybe even mention, be vulnerable, and say that you're trying to get some passive income in 2021. People will definitely want to support you. Now, when I was younger, I did get fired for 3 of my lawn mowing jobs. And the reason was because a lot of them had very complex landscaping that you had to move around. If I had to go up and back, I was really good at it. But anytime I had to weave in around garden beds, it caused me a bit of stress, and I did get fired from 3 of my jobs. Well, I didn't officially get fired, but they basically said that I should not come back the next season. However, I did have a couple other loyal customers that kept me going. With shoveling snow, 2 ideas that you can actually use just to generate some more income with that is before a big snowstorm, you could actually go to houses and say, hey, I'm going to be shoveling snow. Can I come over and shovel your driveway and your sidewalks? It'll cost you $25 for me to do it, and I'll have it done by 7 a.m. Or whatever that might be, but actually doing it before the snowstorm could be helpful so you know how many customers you're actually going to get. And then once it actually starts snowing, then maybe starting at 7, 8 a.m., you can ring some doorbells and walk around and see who else might want their driveway shoveled. Idea number 2, I talked about this in another video when we talked about buying my used Tesla, but it's called Turo. And Turo, and there's also another company called Getaround, it's essentially like renting out your car online. Now, a lot of people maybe don't want to rent out their car, maybe you don't have a car that you can rent, but if you do, Turo is a great way for you to be making a couple $100s per month. And all you have to do is when you're not actually using your car, you list your car on Turo as available, and people in your local community can rent it for a certain price that you have per day. You can get insurance directly through Turo that would then cover the renter, and also you would be covered for certain liabilities depending on which insurance package you are to choose. So I've used this for about 2 years now with our Tesla. Although during COVID we haven't generated as much, you could generate a couple $100s per month just by using Turo and listing your car when you don't need it. The main idea is you have this asset, your car, that is sitting in your driveway for about 90% of its life. So when it's sitting there for 90% of its life, why not allow it to generate income for you? And again, there's little risk to you. You should talk to your insurance company about this just to make sure that you know the risks that are involved with it. But for the most part, you are generally covered from any major damage that would happen to your car while it is rented as well. What do you think of that one? I'm actually really curious if people who are watching this would want to rent their car out on Turo or not. We rent our Tesla, haven't had any issues, and have generated some income, but let me know what you think of the Turo one. Idea number 3. I did this one in New York City. I lived in New York City for 3 years, and this one worked fantastic. And in local communities or smaller communities as well, it can still work. And this is flipping products. Buying products on Craigslist and then flipping them for a little bit more money. In New York specifically, I probably generated about $50 per month, or a couple $100s throughout the year just by finding items on the street. Everyone in New York City will just leave things on the street, a desk, a chair, a dresser, a table, whatever it might be. And I would just take those items from the street, bring them to my apartment, take some nice pictures of them, put them on Craigslist, and then resell them for, even if it's $20 per item, I'm still easily making money. Someone comes over, you send them some pictures before they come over, you tell them it's going to be $20, they come over, they say, hey, would you do 15? You decide if you do $15, and then boom, the deal's done. So I did this very frequently when I lived in New York City, taking items off the street, cleaning them up a little, taking some nice pictures, putting them on Craigslist. If you don't live in New York City, what you can do is you can go around to maybe your neighbors and see if they have items that they don't want anymore. You can take those items for them, sell them online, tell them you'll give them 20, 30, 40, 50% of the profit, and then there you go, you've got a little small business where you can actually help people reduce their clutter. Spring is coming, this is a great idea as well. Put some feelers out there, tell people you'll help them do some spring cleaning, and then you can actually sell those online and take a portion of the profit. Now this works really well with larger furniture pieces, so like beds, dressers, tables, things like that, compared to smaller knick-knack items. But again, this is an awesome idea if you live in a city or if you live in a smaller town. Find items on the street that are in good quality and you can resell, or find neighbors that have things that they don't want anymore and you can actually resell those as well. Number 4, and we're almost at number 5, I'm really excited about number 5, but number 4 is Airbnb. I Airbnb'd with my wife a couch out that we had when we lived in New York City. It was just a simple daybed that had just a twin bed on it. And we had a 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, in Brooklyn, and we had people on Airbnb that would stay in our living room on a couch. I think it was for $60 or $70 per night. And we had this booked out for quite a while until we actually moved. So we made $100 or $200 per month when we did this, and it was really easy. And although you do have to share your space with someone, and again, this might not be something that everyone wants to do, similar like the Turo example earlier, so let me know if you would do this. But we had a daybed in our living room, and we rented that out. We shared a bathroom with these people, and we shared a kitchen, and it was just actually a really great experience. We got to meet some really cool people and also make some side income as well. And number 5, this is the most exciting one. This is the most weird and creative one as well. But when I was in college, I saw this burlap art on the wall of a coffee shop, and I thought to myself, I can make burlap art. Let me actually go sell this. And so what am I talking about with burlap art? I'm talking about these. So this is basically a burlap art piece, and it has on the back, it's a piece of wood that I've cut. I put a picture hanger on it, and I basically got burlap bags from a coffee shop, and I'll tell you how I did that. But I created these burlap wall hangings that then I would sell to coffee shops. And so what I did is, once I decided I wanted to do this, I basically, getting a call. Alright, once I decided that I wanted to do this, I reached out to all the local coffee shops and I asked if they had leftover burlap sacks that they didn't need anymore. Some of them said no, but one of them said yes. They said, I have 150 burlap sacks. They're 3 feet by 2 feet and they cost 25 cents each. You have to buy 150 of them. Do you want them? And I thought to myself, yes, I could probably make 150 wall hangings with these. So I bought all 150 burlap sacks. It was this gigantic pile that I put in my car. And I basically then learned how to sew. I made pillows with burlap. I made more of these wall hangings of all different sizes, and then I sold them to some coffee shops in my local community. Probably made a couple $100s on that. And then I did have some leftover burlap sacks as well that I had to figure out what to do with. But that was another really great idea. There's things that are lying around or things that people don't need. Burlap Art is a really simple one. You just go buy some big plywood from Home Depot or Lowe's. You cut it up into the right size, you staple on the burlap, you put a picture hanger on it, and then you're good to go, and you can sell them for 20, 30, 40 bucks. It looks great on walls. You can also just give them as gifts as well. But for me, this was a way that I actually made a couple $100 and was able to actually create some art. I learned how to sew. Again, it was super cool making pillows, and was able to actually see them in the local community when I went to the coffee shop as well. So making art, in this case, it's burlap art, but for you, it could be something else as well. But that's also just another great idea. So those are the 5 ideas that I have that I've personally done. There's some other ones that I've done as well in the past, but those 5 ideas I think are relatively easy for you to get started with, and something that you can just jump on without too much of an investment as well. And it's something that you can have a little bit of fun with too. Thanks so much for sticking around. I would absolutely love if you could help me get to that 200 subscriber count by the end of January. Thank you. I can't wait to count and see how many I did and see how much money I have to donate to charity. But thank you so much for sticking around to Quinn Talks Money, and I will see you next time.